Jeez, what happened? No, gee. My documents are.
There's Savvy,
Oh,
there's events.
Okay, thank you. Ah. You have friends. What's this? Shelley? Who? I had it all set up. I had that up too. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. We have a number of items on the workshop agenda for this evening. So at this point, I would like to call this workshop of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Mr. Chrisman if he will lead us in that.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed to public comment, I would like to announce that prior to this meeting, the Board of Supervisors met in executive session. We spent time discussing personnel issues, and we also discussed scheduling matters. At this point, the board would entertain public comment on any item not on the agenda tonight. Would anybody like to address the board on an item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, so everybody's here for what's on the agenda. Before we go any further, normally we have board member comments. You may have noticed, those who watch our and/or attend our meetings regularly, that Supervisor Hawk has not been with us for well over a month now. I had an opportunity to spend some time with Mr. Hawk yesterday evening. He has experienced some health problems, and he wanted to let residents of the township know that he has been experiencing these problems, and he is currently undergoing treatment, and our expectation and hope is that he will be back with us by August, but he will not be here obviously tonight or next week. And our thoughts and prayers are with Bill as he works through some health issues which have proven to take longer to work through than what initially we thought they would. But he is working on it, and he's under excellent care, and we look forward to having him rejoin us hopefully by the first meeting or two in August. Also, before we go into the agenda, I understand we have some scouts with us this evening. And why don't you come to the podium and Declan, if you want to come to the podium and tell us what troop you're with, tell us your name, what troop you're with, and what you're working on here this evening. You might want to pull the microphone down a little bit. There you go.
Hang on. You can turn
Hold
the
on
mic
one second, Declan. We've had some issues with microphones.
I am from Troop 302,
and I am working on my communications merit badge.
Oh, great.
What? Oh, Declan Flederjohn.
And who's here with you this evening?
It's just me. My parents are here, but none of the other scouts.
Oh, good.
Very good.
Very good. Well, welcome. We're glad you could be with us this evening. I know Mrs. Lindsay and Mr. Chrisman are members of your church.
Yes,
So,
you're at Calvary? You meet at Calvary?
Yeah.
Yep, good.
yeah.
Thank you
So-
for attending.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully you find the meeting to be not too boring. And also not too interesting. That's okay, with that, we have a presentation this evening by Savvy Citizen, and this is a project that Mr. Judd has been working on. So, Mr. Judd, if you would like to explain what we're going to be hearing.
Well, it's interesting. It's all about using technology in your phones to be able to connect and connect with the taxpayers and the residents. And so when you see a crowded meeting like that, it really reminds you how important that would be and the usefulness in that. In fact, I assume most of the people here are not for the first two agenda items. So we were actually talking about maybe flipping it around, but just to keep it simple, and because these two issues are really important, the first two are really important as well as the others we're going to talk about. I think you'll get something out of it. And I don't know who the presenters are, but this is we've been really trying to improve our communications and use the technology, people's phones really, in a way to be able to interact with residents. So that's where this started. This is a company that offers a service to which people can get information on their phones quickly, timely, that you can sign up for it. So that's the basic. Yeah, and we'll leave it to the pros, and we'll, if you can, I know you've come a long way, and I'm very excited. We want to just be sensitive to the folks that are here and try to move it along as quickly as you can, but we are very interested in what you have to say.
Absolutely. We will do that. We'll keep it as short as possible. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Geraldine Brown. And just a quick note, my husband was from this area, and he grew up in Colonial Park, and he knows Mr. Chrisman. I just found out when he said, "You're going to my, my turf." So he was nice to come home and see that. And then, go ahead.
Sure, I'm Rich McConnell, and I actually spent about 20 years in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, went to Big Spring High School, so I myself am very familiar with the area.
So we are both from Pittsburgh now, though. So we came from Pittsburgh today to come visit. Oh, wow. So if you want to advance to the next slide. Okay, so just very quickly to understand that we come from a very solid company. Management Science Associates is the company that created Savvy Citizen. We're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the East Liberty area of town. And we have around 800, a little over 800 employees, and we work in a lot of different projects, but this project was developed out of the Business Development Group when we recognized the need for local governments to better communicate with their residents.
If I could add one thing, I actually, this is a sensitive topic for myself. I sit on the Planning Commission for Buffalo Township in Butler County. I've been in your seats before and have sort of gotten my share of upset, angry residents and the fact that we weren't doing a good job in communicating. So about 3 years ago, we came up with this idea really to try to improve municipal resident communication. And 3 years later, here we are.
Okay, so go ahead, next slide. So this is probably what you all experience, and you can probably tell us more than we can tell you about problems in communicating with residents. As you know, a lot of municipalities have an issue nowadays with reaching their residents with information. The first bullet there talks about newspapers and signs on the door. While that may have worked years ago, newspaper readership is on the decline, and putting a sign on the door really isn't effective. It requires a citizen to come actively to the building and kind of check out the information. Nowadays, a lot of people are using municipal websites and calendars, and these are all wonderful efforts and need to be done. However, again, it requires someone to proactively go to the website to see when new information is added. It doesn't really push information out to residents. And finally, newsletters, direct mail, all wonderful items. They're very costly. And then as soon as you put it out, you know, the information is no longer timely. Next slide. So more recently, a lot of local governments have been using social media. Everybody hears about social media. And there's a lot of good things to it, but there's also a lot of issues with that. Two-way communication is very problematic when municipalities and local government use Facebook to communicate with residents. If you're familiar with Facebook, it's a forum where information can be posted and then people can comment back, and oftentimes there's disgruntled citizens, and it just ends up into this issue of back and forth discussions. The other issue, a lot of people have been hearing on the news about Facebook. They have algorithms which determine how information is presented to you. So you might subscribe to your township's municipal Facebook page, but that doesn't ensure that the information is actually getting to the citizen. There's an algorithm which determines if they see it or not, and they always give preferences to your friends and family first, which can be good, but in the case of a municipality, they're trying to get out important or time-sensitive information, and it doesn't always work. So that, go
I
ahead.
could add one comment. It's very fair to assume that even though maybe you have 700 people following your site, 700 people are not getting your information. It's far less than that, possibly as much as half.
And then the last item there, whoops, can we go back one slide? I'm sorry. We had just one other comment, and we'll move along, which copycat accounts. This is actually from our a community right in Pittsburgh where we are. This was in the newspaper. We had a citizen that basically created a copycat account. And I haven't looked into your township to see if you have any citizen-based websites, but this one actually was pretending to be the police department. And they took a picture of the police badge in the building, and it looked very official, and they started communicating out to residents. Well, here it was just a citizen. I mean, they had nothing to do with the police department, caused some issues, but copycats accounts are an issue as well. And I think we can move on from there. So, just make sure.
So what is Savvy Citizen? Basically, our main goal is to get information out like community updates, municipal news, event reminders, public safety alerts, and proactive community outreach. Go to the next slide. It's primarily a smartphone application available on either the iOS or Android platforms. Residents who do not have a smartphone can also participate. There's a company website. They can provide their cell phone number to get text messages on a traditional flip phone, or via their home PC, visit the website or receive emails via alert. We also do some search engine optimization. So anytime you create an event in Savvy Citizen and put it out there, it becomes part of the public domain. And then if you were to Google that information, say Lower Paxton Halloween parade, you may actually find that search result pop up higher than the one on your personal website because of those things. And lastly, social media. I know we just mentioned that social media really isn't a great place to post information from the municipality, but we do enable residents to share those pieces of information amongst themselves very easily.
So by sharing information directly from the municipality, you know it's accurate information.
Correct. Next slide. So we wanted to give you a couple of real examples. These are from our real clients. The top one was about a garbage delay from the borough of Newville. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Newville area. It's West Pennsboro, or I should say Cumberland County, west of West Pennsboro. Actually, I went to high school at Big Spring, so right in my backyard. But they just sent this out last week. They wanted to make residents aware that garbage would be changed, excuse me, because of the 4th of July holiday. The next one was Movies in the Park. This is a Western Pennsylvania municipality. This is Richland Township. And they have a lot of these things going on, so alerts out to residents to engage folks with those types of events. And then lastly, this is Town of McCandless. This is about a 28,000 person municipality in Western Pennsylvania. They're in the process of updating their comprehensive plan. And they're trying to keep residents up to speed with where they're at. So one of the nice things about this, I'll point this out quickly.
Whoops, you might be not here. Okay.
You can see that there are links. And so a lot of our clients use this almost as like a news bulletin. If you have this information on your website already, you don't have to retype it. A sentence or two will do, and then just include a link back to the website where that information exists. And one of the nice things is you'll then drive more traffic back to your website. In the case of Richland, we look at their Google Analytics all the time. We actually refer 25% of the web traffic to their site.
Move your mic around again, Rich.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
25% of the web traffic to their site is referred by Savvy Citizen. Next slide. And this is two more examples. A lot of places across the state have been experiencing very severe weather. Bethel Park, which is a 33,000 person municipality south of Pittsburgh, had some severe flooding a few weeks ago. And they were basically using Savvy to get information out to residents, pretty much an overcap of the flood damage and then flooding recovery resources. They probably set 5 or 6 posts, I think all told, but these are just two examples.
Excellent.
Go to the next slide. So we took a look at your website, and these were just some things out there that, clearly could go out on Savvy Citizen. Summer concert and movie series, National Night Out, which is that's a very big thing, even in Western Pennsylvania. A lot of folks are doing that. You have a 5K run, comprehensive plan update. I saw on your Facebook page you have a Cop Cars and Coffee Summer Smash. Job postings, and I'm sure there's many more. In fact, the job posting ones, we've had several of those go out on our sites. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback in the office about that type of information. Because again, that's something that if residents don't know to go to the website, they're just not going to get that information. Next slide.
Sure. So very, very quickly, you might ask, how can we help your township engage your citizens and know that this service is available? So we don't just say, here, buy Savvy Citizen, and it's your job to, get your citizens to know about it. We actually help you out, and we've had a lot of successes in doing so. So we do traditional things. We provide you with posters and handouts and mailers. Rich is holding one of these road signs, which it's so simple, and if you allow it in your township, it's actually very effective. We've found that there's a big spike in the number of residents that sign up to follow a particular township after these road signs are placed at key intersections. And then additional success is found when they move those signs around a little bit. And we also work with magazine articles, contacting your local newspaper and getting a story about you that you've chosen to use Savvy Citizen to communicate with your residents. The next thing we do here, we have digital. And I know I talked about Facebook not being effective for municipalities to communicate with their citizens, but one thing it's very effective for is actually Facebook ads. And we know how to do that. We know how to do that really well. And at a very, very low cost, we set up these inexpensive ads that target all of the residents by their zip code. And when they're using Facebook, it provides them with a clear button just to press and say, download now. And then they can, in one simple step, and it's free of charge to them, they can download the app and start receiving information from municipality. And then finally, we have a lot of suggestions just on quick, easy, free ways that you can also help your citizens know that you'll be using Savvy Citizen. Next slide, please.
So just to recap, why Savvy Citizen? I mean, we're trying to improve communication and the relationship with citizens, citizen participation in local government and community activities. It's really about making people aware and getting them involved. One thing we'll point out is a lot of our folks will provide access to not only, say, employees in the municipal office, but police departments, parks and rec folks, perhaps your roadmaster, really maybe someone at the library. You can give an admin account to any person you want. There's no additional charge for that. You can have as many users as you'd like. As we mentioned, more trusted and reliable in social media. Event entry is very easy to do. It's very easy to create an event. You can do it in a minute or less. It's effective one-to-many communication. What this really is meant to do is to stop those repetitive phone calls that you get when something happens. If you can get a notice out, before something happens or as it's happening, you can mitigate those phone calls. It's 100% standalone. It's web-based. There's nothing for you guys to install on the hardware side. Public safety alerts do go out with top priority. We also provide with content. Every month, we provide our clients with an updated list in terms of resident subscribers and overall subscribers. And we also provide some suggestions for the upcoming month in terms of things you may have going on. I've got about a 4-page list, and we provide that on a monthly basis. We do offer optionally a calendar integration piece. If you could, George, if you could click.
I don't think I can do that here. No, it is active, okay.
Okay, get on the mic here. Get on the mic.
Sure, sure. Okay, so this is Harrison Township. This is one of our clients. What you're looking at here, this calendar inside of their site is actually the Savvy Citizen calendar for Harrison Township. So if you guys have a calendar on your website, you can eliminate your calendar and just enter your events in one place. You can enter them into Savvy Citizen, and it will automatically sync up this calendar with your events, so there's no more dual entry. So that is something that we offer. A lot of our clients like this, and it works pretty well. Perfect. And then the last thing, it's kind of hidden up down. It's hidden. We don't sell any ads on the. We don't sell any ads on the site. Nothing like that. It's fully funded by the municipalities, and we do not share anyone's information with anybody. Period. Next slide. So this is the pricing. It's $249 per month. Or an annual subscription of $24.90. Because we met you folks at the PSATS conference, we're offering a 2-month discount through the end of the month. There's an $800 setup fee, and that really goes to cover the marketing things that we talked about, doing the road signs and some other items. If you did want the optional pieces, the calendar plugin, that's an extra $25 a month. And there is a zonal notification piece, which is available for $50 a month. Next slide. These are some testimonials. You can read these at your leisure. Next slide. I don't know if you folks happen to get your copy,
Yep, just today.
the Township News, but there was an article in there. We were featured in that article. So if you'd like to take a second and just go through and read that, it's actually a very good article about sort of mobile communication overall, and we do have some extra copies if someone would like to have one. Next slide. And that's the end of the presentation. Any questions for us?
I don't know if I missed it, but what is the zonal?
Sure, yeah, I really didn't touch on that too much. So basically, what that enables you to do, if you had, say, a specific event going on inside a small part of the township, maybe a water main break that affected only a handful of people, on a map you can pin a zone around that road, and then that notification will only go out to the folks who live in that area.
Wow, that's interesting.
Okay. All right.
So where do you get the app? Do you go to an app store? Do you get it from our website?
Right, you can
How do
go
you-
to either the Play Store or the App Store, and you download it there. Or if you don't want to use the app, you can go to SavvyCitizenApp.com, create an account, and access the information that way.
And do we commit to, is there a contract? Do we commit to?
And basically, it's just like buying a service online. We have a terms and condition page on the website. You agree, and via credit card, and you're off and running. We can have you set up in less than a day.
I mean, how long?
Oh, the term?
Term, yeah,
It's either monthly or annually, whatever you'd prefer. Right now, we're offering a 2-month discount if you commit to a year of service.
And as far as the social media, because as you noted, we don't want to be repeating, posting this stuff everywhere. So people can, if it goes on to Savvy Citizen, goes out on Savvy Citizen, they can share it on social media.
Correct.
But we can't pull stuff from social media and put it into that. So if it's going to start somewhere.
It goes
so
from-
then this will show up, all the text that's in a Savvy Citizen alert will show up on Facebook.
Or Twitter or whatever else you may want to,
Okay.
whatever the means you've got.
And I'd look through the other municipalities that currently use it. It's still young. It's still early. It's relative handful still.
Currently, we've got about 17. We've actually gotten 12 in the last 6 weeks after these 2 conferences. We have about 17 all told using it.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if we were to sign on and we advertise and we get people to, sign up, download the app, provide their contact information, and what if in a couple of years, you're a big company, you're MSA, you move on to something else, do we get that contact information, or would all those people then have to re-sign up for something else? Is trying to see where all that contact information,
Sure.
would we have access to it? Or would they have to sign up again if we had to use someone
In
else?
other words, if you wanted to move to a new service or
Yes.
something else.
Well, mainly if you guys go away.
Right.
You know?
Well, It's a fair question. I think I'd have to review the way our terms of service read on that.
Okay, I understand that. I
But
understand.
the thing I can assure you of, I mean, we've been in business for 55 years. This is a very small piece of a much larger puzzle, or much larger.
Well, I know your
pie, if you
company's
will.
not going away. I meant just this
So-
product. It's young, and I would just hate if we got everybody signed up, everybody on board, and then in a year or two, something changes, and then we have to ask them to go through the whole process. That's something you can
mean,
check into.
I'll check into that. I guess what I could comment here is I would say we would likely work with you on some kind of a transition.
What are the closest municipalities to Lower Paxton that have actually purchased and have implemented?
Right now, Newville, Borough of Newville.
Newville and Cumberland County.
Correct, in Cumberland
Okay.
County, correct.
It's very small. Yes,
I do want to mention something to that. So what we would do if Lower Paxton would sign up is we would go around to all of the surrounding communities because that's one thing that we didn't mention. Savvy Citizen, you don't only have to follow your own community. You could live in Lower Paxton and pass through another municipality in the surrounding area, and you might want to follow them as well. So we would actually kind of use you guys now to go around and say, let's build a nice little community of Savvy Citizen communities. That way you can follow additional communities all around you.
And where are you going to get all the information to put on the app? How are you going to?
It's
Locations?
Yeah, so it's inputted by the municipality.
Okay.
Right, so someone here would take a minute and key things in. Everything from township meetings to fun events to anything else you might want to put out there. So this is the live production system, and I've actually removed some of our clients because it gets really busy. But you can just sort of get a sense for how this works. You could really, if you want to click on any one of these. Bethel Park, and this is the notice they sent out to their residents, just letting folks know they were closed. Obviously, it's sort of a basic thing, but a lot of folks felt like they wanted to put that information out. If you want to, you can just go ahead. You can scroll down the page a little bit. Click on this one right here.
Which one?
This Turtle Trot. So this is Turtle Creek, one of our other clients. They're having a 5K run, so they put this on the calendar because they wanted to make residents aware of this. So what they did was they just basically put a couple sentences to describe it, and then if you click on the where, you'll see there's a map built in. So we leverage Google Maps. It pins the location on the map for you. And one of the neat things is if the end user is using the app on their phone, if they click that button, it preloads it right into their GPS. And then it's off and running, basically. So you don't have to rekey anything in. But at a high level, that's sort of how the events look when they come across. Yes. And then, if George, if you could go up to where it says event notifications up at the top, and then go down to where it says notifications, right there. So these are sort of the one-off pieces of information that a lot of our residents send out, or a lot of our clients, send out. Things like road closures, cancellations of meetings, all kinds of different things. And you can just go ahead and click on one of those. Doesn't really matter. So this is from Braddock Hills. They were talking about basically because of the holiday, their trash got moved to July 7th. Yeah.
If you click on this is how a user could email this notification to someone, or place this on Facebook on their Facebook page. Also, message. You can text. If you felt a piece of information, maybe a road closure or a safety alert was important for a neighbor to know about, you could just hit this button, and if they were on their phone, there would be an option for a text message, and they could forward that to their fellow resident, and that would most likely inspire them to sign up for Savvy Citizen as well. That's another way that this grows within a community. When you put out helpful information and people start sharing it, the term goes viral, then that's how additional
And
users.
as far as extras go, the website plugin, that's because we already have a website with events and in fact, you can click on today's meeting and read all the attachments. But the plugin would coordinate the two, or we would just use we would use your calendar on our website.
Yeah, it's really up to you. Some of our folks have purchased the plugin, some have not. But basically, what it does is it would take the Lower Paxton version of the Savvy Citizen Calendar and paste that up on your website.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I still, like, I want people to be able to go to a meeting event and be able to hit attachments, which would your calendar allow that? Or you're just information?
Right now, there's no uploading of PDFs or
Yeah.
documents like that. But if those lived on a separate site, you could include a link to someplace else.
Board members, I'm thinking right now, we should, if you're interested, I would start small. Our calendar is fairly complicated in how we use it. But as a communication tool, this would be.
That's fine. Well, I don't want to get to the point where our communications person is putting things on two different things
Right.
for too long.
Right.
That's all.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. And the other comment I'll make is, I mean, we have, I think, about 17 users currently. We're always asking our end users for feedback. So, I mean, a lot of the features that you see in front of you have come from our early adopters. So if you guys have an idea for something, we're very interested in that feedback. We really are.
And again, the township here, we have a designated representative who controls all the data that goes on, correct? It's not anybody can get on and put information
That's
on.
100%
And again, for me,
correct.
that's a security issue.
Correct.
So
Now,
Leanne would be
that
able to be the
person.
person who
That
would-
Leanne
yeah.
would control
Yes.
everything going on.
So basically, the person, what we'll create is like an admin user for you, and then that person can designate if they want other admins, but it's up to that person. Right.
Okay.
And with the
Well-
app, can you tell, or can we tell how many people are actually signing up to use the app?
So there's two ways to do that. Whenever you create a notice, there's a preview screen at the end, and it tells you how many residents are going to receive that based on the categories they've selected. Additionally, every month I provide up-to-date total stats, so you have that information both ways.
Okay. Very good. Well, we appreciate your making the trip from Pittsburgh out here. I know it's about a 4-hour drive to do that.
One
We
follow-up
appreciate the
question,
opportunity.
Mr. Chairman. You said Newville's our closest contact. Who would be the person if we asked Mr. Wolf to make a contact with them for referencing? Who would they
know
contact?
the manager at McCandless.
You already have
Yeah.
it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to provide additional references if
No,
if
I
you'd
just want to
like.
know who locally is using it and how successful they are and what glitches there are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And the last thing I'll leave you with is we do offer a referral program. So as Geraldine mentioned, what we're trying to do in this area is create a core because that really helps, with sort of the broader sense of sharing information across municipalities. So we offer a 2-month discount. So if you guys were to make a referral to a few neighboring municipalities, they purchase, we'll give you 2 months off per municipality. It's unlimited, so invite 6 of your friends. If they all buy, you have it for free. We're 100% serious about that.
So if we went out and got some of our suburbs, like the city of Harrisburg, for
Yes.
example, to sign up, that we would get a discount?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Well, we are now larger. Well, thank you again. This is most interesting. Chris, thank you for taking the time to spearhead this.
We'll be in
And
touch.
We will certainly be in touch. And one thing that we've been trying to do over the last few months is to greatly expand our outreach and communications. And this sounds like being able to get it on this is a great way to do it.
I just want to make a comment, too. I think it's very affordable, and I think it should be something that we should consider because of the price. All we can
Yeah.
do is try.
Yeah, the price is reasonable,
Right,
so
yeah,
it's
it's very
worth a
affordable,
try, and
yeah.
hopefully we can get, a lot of our interested citizens are here, already know about it, so there's a good start.
Great, thanks for coming in. Yes, oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, we'll move now to item number 5 on the agenda, and this is a continued discussion about our campaign that we are launching to provide our citizens with information on the proposed stormwater fee. For those who have not heard about it, you're about to hear a lot about it. Mr. Judd and Raftalis have been working to set up what will be a number of community meetings in order to explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we're now in the process of determining how to do it. But because of federal and state mandates for stormwater management that is going to cost our township, in the neighborhood of $3 million a year?
Yes.
If I'm correct. We have to find a way to pay for that. And in typical federal and state mandate fashion, They're requiring that these activities occur and providing no funding to accomplish them. So we have to determine how we're going to fund this $3 million expenditure. And the board has voted that rather than have a property tax increase, we will do it as a separate fee on our quarterly sewage bills. And so prior to that being implemented about a year from now, July of next year, we're going to have a lot of public information and a lot of public discussion about it. What isn't up for discussion is whether or not we do it. We really have no choice in the matter. We're not happy about it. Some of us believe it is ineffective and sort of waste of money, but nonetheless, the feds and the state have said we have to do it. So I guess what we're trying to do, Mr. Wolf, is come up with a logo.
Not me. I have no artistic ability whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, board members.
So Mr. Judd drew these?
Well, maybe.
No?
No.
Somebody did.
Mrs. Urban did. Mrs. Urban wasn't able to be here tonight, but she has prepared, as she has discussed with Mr. Judd, 4 logos that will be used to help market the stormwater fee, which is expected to come in 2019. And what Leanne is looking for is, and obviously you can change and modify logos at any point in time, but we do have on our website the beginning of a stormwater fee page, and we want to brand that page with a logo. And Leanne has prepared 4 for your consideration tonight. You might like one. You might not like any of them, but we're looking for some initial direction. This would be logo number 1, board members. If I can get back to where I'm supposed to, and I can't do it easily. Logo number 2. Let me reduce this a little bit and get it to a point where you can see it.
Not real sure
Not
what
good.
that looks like, actually.
There's a drop of water there going down a drain.
I think we might roll out logo number 2, George.
Okay. Let's see if I can easily find. No, okay.
I like number 1.
The audience reaction is no to number 2. Yeah.
My personal, now this logo, board members, is somewhat based upon our recycling symbol.
Okay.
And that's where you get the circular effect of stormwater. And then, let me get to the last one. My personal favorite, saved for last.
This is my favorite, too.
That's too busy.
That's my favorite.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
4.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
and just to reiterate,
This group says number 4.
The-
That's how.
I said 1.
You said 1?
One? Oh.
the purpose of this is really just so in mailings that go out and anything on Facebook or anything that first of all, that'll be on the website, so you can find a web page where it'll have all the information, all the background information. We're going to have public meetings. We'll put the meeting videos up there. We'll put the laws up there that are making us do this from the EPA and DEP. You'll see what it is we have to buy. Where's the money? What are we going to use this fee for? It's stormwater runoff. So the hope is that when you see one of these, and there'll be a web address on there, or we'll just send you to the Lower Paxton webpage, that at any time you or your neighbors will be able to find a home that will have all the latest information, where'd this come from, where's it going, and what you need to know. And so that's really the point of this. Let's.
Please
You
come
need
to the
go
podium.
to the podium.
Thank you. Yes, certainly. If you just give us your name and address. And
Ann Wayne, 2397 Via Toscana. I've worked in graphic design. I didn't do it, but I sort of worked with it, and it just have them make sure they don't do a blue background behind that, because you'll lose your water.
Yes.
And if you do a black background, you'll lose your type. Just.
Good
FYI.
point.
Use white paper.
White.
Use white paper.
Good-
Yeah,
very-
now,
very good point.
unfortunately, all these logos look like, boy, this is something really nifty that's coming that we're all going to want. And
Yeah. No.
no, when we start seeing a new fee of what's it going to be, $35 or $40 a quarter on our sewage bills, we're not going to be too happy about it. But the purpose of the campaign and the purpose of all the public meetings is to explain why, what, and how, and we're still working out the how. So we
And Mr.
are looking forward to, you're going to see a lot about this in our newsletters, our website, press releases, all sorts of things.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to explain the reason why we went with the fee and not doing the real estate tax. The real estate tax, just the homeowners would be taxed. By doing the fee, everybody gets taxed. So your churches get taxed, your schools get taxed, and Lower Paxton Township also gets taxed. So that was the reasoning that we decided to go with the fee and not do the real estate tax.
It spreads the burden out
On it,
over
yeah.
a larger number of people, and
And the big property owners, the big asphalt, concrete with where the rainwater, it's impervious, they will pay their
Their share.
fair share.
Their
Yeah,
fair share.
It'll be based on that, and that's why we have a consultant helping us with the outreach, but also calculating how to make sure that the big properties pay their fair share.
but we would invite all of you here and everybody watching to certainly come out and participate in the public meetings where we're not going to get into all those details tonight, but we're going to get very, very deep into the details at those meetings.
And also in our budget for the past couple of years, we have included stormwater fee, and this year there's close to $2 million of stormwater fee. So this is just an additional extra million, it'll be a little over 3. So it has been included in the budget in the past years.
But whenever that money is spent on this, it's not spent on paving roads in our neighborhoods and providing for police and fire protection and other things that some of us would consider to be of a higher importance, but nonetheless. So I guess we've settled on logo number 4, Mr. Wolf.
If that is your consensus, we will post it. It's certainly something that can be changed.
Okay.
Number 4 is fine.
Number 4 is fine. Yeah, Mr. Chrisman reluctantly agrees, so. Okay, now let's move to item number 6. We are going to have a discussion this evening with representatives. Where are the representatives from Youngst Homes? There you are. If you would please come to the podium. And we are going to talk about signalization of the intersection at Fairmont Drive and Locust Lane. Something we really need, so I hope you have some reasonably
Okay.
good or at least optimistic news for us.
Okay, well, good evening. My name is John Zerbanis, and I'm with the developer who's building the development Shadebrook. First, want to start off with thanking the board to let us come out and speak this evening. Realizing that some of the folks are new to the board, just to give you a brief overview, back between Phase 1 and Phase 2, there was a traffic study done, and unfortunately, the warrants were not met at that point, okay? I'm not a traffic engineer. I know we worked with the township's engineer on trying to come up with ways to meet the warrants, but there's certain things that you have to follow that are PennDOT regulated.
And by warrants, you mean?
Traffic counts,
Can
that
you-
type of thing.
John, can you give it, you're saying warranted, can you give us those numbers on what has to be warranted in order to have that light put in there?
To be honest with you, Robin, I don't have the actual numbers with me.
That's disappointing because that's my main question. You know, everybody keeps saying it's not warranted, but every time I ask, I'm not getting those numbers. And I want to know, what is that number that has to be warranted? How close are they to putting that light in there? That's, you know, I'm very disappointed that you didn't have the number tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you know, from the traffic engineers, we were to go ahead and provide an additional study at the completion of Phase 1, okay? And what they felt was between Phase 1, possibly into Phase 2, these counts would be met. There's a chance of that. If you would be so kind, I will go ahead and get these counts sent over to the board, okay, in the next day or two, if that suits.
And you're saying warranted, so are you saying warranted east and west or north and south? Because the issue that I'm hearing is it's the north and south, it's the crossing of, from Fairmont to Fairmont. And I did go out there the other Monday at 4:45, and I'll be right up front with you, I would not want to cross there every night. I mean, it's just, you're constantly, and you have a site, distance coming in there.
Correct.
So what are the warranted? Is it north and south or east and west?
I think it's the whole intersection
I was going to say, it
itself.
should
as
be
a whole.
both.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be
the
included,
Because
should
we
be
were told
both.
originally, we had PennDOT in here prior, last year, and they were telling us that there was not enough backup on Locust Lane, that was the warranted, that there was not enough backup. So that's why I'm asking, is it east and west, north and south, or the whole thing?
I will get you that answer.
Okay.
Okay, no
Okay.
problem.
Board members, just,
Did you have more that you wanted to,
Well, what I wanted to
what
let
was the point, what was the point of what you wanted to tell us?
Okay, well, what I wanted to let you know is we are close to build out in phase one, and we would like to go ahead and do another study right away. We, in the very near future, will be opening up the new restaurant down in phase two, and we're hoping that's going to be what takes the thing over the edge to go ahead and install this light. We are totally committed. I mean, we had given the board, the township, our word. We want the light as bad as you do. Our word, obviously costs go up as years go by, and it's going to be a great improvement. We would prefer that the community's not done and then there's a traffic light put in years later. So, I mean, we want you to know that we do want to do this.
Yeah, I did a little research with the police department, and from April of 2016, because I know that's when the second homeowner had moved in there, and there's been 14 accidents there in 2 years. 9 were reportable, 5 were non-reportable. There's been 33 warnings, 21 citations, and 2 injuries. So I just wanted to make you aware, if you didn't know, that there has been quite a few accidents at that intersection.
Mr. Wolf, can the developer put a light in before we reach, or before the numbers reach what PennDOT requires?
board members, I'm reading from the Uniform Traffic Control Device requirements now. And it specifically says a traffic control signal should not be installed unless one or more of the factors described in this chapter are met. And they have to be determined to be met by an engineering study. That determines that a control signal will improve the overall safety and operation of the intersection. Included within this study have to be 8-hour vehicle volume, 4-hour vehicle volume, peak hour vehicle volume, pedestrian volume, school crossing, coordinated single system, crash warrant experience, roadway network, and intersections near a grade crossing, which this wouldn't qualify because it's not near a railroad grade crossing.
My question, so is the ultimate determiner the developer or
The
PennDOT?
PennDOT.
PennDOT.
Well, the ultimate determiner is meeting the requirements of the Uniform Traffic Control Manual. And if you meet the requirements, then PennDOT can issue the municipality a permit to operate a signal at that location. At that point, in this case, the developer is legally and financially obligated to install the signal.
Right.
Which he wants to do as quickly as possible. But what we don't know is we don't know how close, getting back to what Mrs. Lindsay asked, we don't know how close are we to being able to get PennDOT to issue that permit to us.
And
Because I think in answer to what Mr. Judd said, you can't just put it in without permission from PennDOT.
that's correct.
Of course, we could ask forgiveness rather than permission, but that could cause
What-
problems.
I have a
Remember, board members, Locust Lane isn't our street. We have no right to even work in Locust Lane without a PennDOT permit.
Okay.
So we need a highway occupancy permit for doing the work in Locust Lane, and we need a traffic signal permit to install the signal.
What is the impetus for the study to make that determination? Does the developer request that, or do we, the township, request
At
that?
this point, well, the developer is responsible for doing it. The developer has already done a traffic study as part of the subdivision and land development plan, which indicated that a signal would be warranted at a given point in time. And then there was an update of that study 18 months ago,
Okay, because I think
which determined that the warrants hadn't been met at that point.
okay, because the last one I have, at least what I'm looking at, and you can correct me, Mr. Wolf, is the September 22nd, 2016.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the one that says it does not, obviously.
So there's been no study done for 18 months.
That's correct.
Okay, so no study for 18 months, but you're almost finished with the first phase. You're into the second phase. You have a brewery pub going in there where people are going to be drinking at that intersection. So I think you need to get that study done now.
Okay, and that's
Okay.
why I'm here tonight.
I mean, I'm just trying to add everything up, you know, because you're going to have people that don't even live out there going out to that brewery because they're not going to have to deal with the traffic on 22, so they're going to live in that area, you know, driving and go there. And is it my understanding, Mr. Wolf, at the VOTEC, do we have a police officer there directing traffic in the afternoon?
Yes, there should be.
Coming out of school in the afternoon? Okay. Okay.
When is the brewery and restaurant scheduled to open?
I'm anticipating that closer to the end of, somewhere like I think November, December, something like that.
And so you're proposing that the next traffic study not be done until that opening occurs, or is it something that can be done like
It
now?
It can be done now. What we were obligated to do was when phase one was about build out, we were to do another study. We are there.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no problem to do another one. In one of my emails that I had sent to staff, we have no problem doing this additional study right away, but I think we should offer also to maybe do one like maybe 6 months. If it's not spurred, we do another one right after the restaurants open, like 6 months, and that might be the trigger. If
Okay.
this other one
So
isn't.
you're saying that you're going to proceed right away with doing a new study.
That's correct.
Hopefully it meets the warrants and we can proceed. If it doesn't, we'll wait for the commercial facility to open and then 6 months after this, do another one, by which point, but again, it would be good to know how close we are. You know, if we're,
Right.
you know, are we 100 trips a day? Are we 500 trips a day?
And that is no problem to provide that information.
Board members, I will note that you will get better results for justifying a signal if we wait till school starts.
Good
Yes.
point. Do it in September.
So we do it right.
Yeah.
And then once you make the request, how long does it take for the study to be completed so that we have the results?
Usually when they do the study, it usually about 2 weeks later, after they've done the actual counts, is when the report comes out. And then what they would do is submit it to staff and HRG for review.
Right, so if we wait and do it at the beginning of the school term, we should have it by the middle, third week of September, or the last week of September at the latest.
Correct.
Yes, board members, and nobody's going to want to hear this, but I'll say it now. Once you meet warrants, then you have to design the facility and permit it, both the highway occupancy permit and the traffic signal permit. You're doing the installation or us?
We are.
Okay, so there's no competitive bid, so that will speed up the process.
save some
But,
time, yeah.
you are, effectively, if it meets warrants in September, 6 months would be aggressive.
Right.
Oh, and if you haven't done it for 18 months, you might be meeting one of those warrants right now.
There's a possibility.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, the other study was dated August 2016, or is that?
I'm looking at a date that was, the end result was provided, I think it was December. There was an HRG
September
memorandum.
22nd,
Oh, that's
2016.
September.
That's
I-
the one I have as the first
I actually.
memo on my.
A review of an
attachment.
above reference study dated August 15, 2016.
Get back to it. I was.
That's almost 2 years.
The point is, it'll be 2 years, and just so everybody knows, this is information for new board members as well. Whenever the numbers are reached, whenever that is, it's at least 6 months after that to actually begin construction. George?
Well, 6 months, 6 months would be aggressive.
To begin installation?
That's very feasible.
That's very aggressive, though.
If you're looking at the flashing signal we just installed on Rutherford Road, which is also a state route, which also required a permit and a highway occupancy permit, that took easily 9 months.
Okay, well, just so you have in your head, just so you know, once the numbers are hit, then add that amount of time on.
Well, the key is to get started.
Right.
So-
At least we have an action plan.
Well, we appreciate your willingness to go forward as soon as school starts with doing the study. And did we have citizen comments?
And John, if you could just get what the warranted is now, to Mr. Wolf, so he can put it in our packet, I would appreciate that.
That's no problem.
Okay.
If you could sort of stick around and we have some citizen comments in case there are any questions for you.
Sure.
Mr. Murphy, did you have a?
Yes, thank you. Tim Murphy, 1524 Pine Hollow Road, about a half a mile from the intersection we're talking about. Traffic warrants based on numbers sounds good, but I think we have some extenuating circumstances here. Mrs. Lindsay brought up a very valid point. We're averaging more than one crash per month, and that doesn't enter into the equation. We need to move this along. I would suggest talking to Representative Marsico or Senator DeSanto might push this up on the agenda. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf, the manual that you just read from, does it provide for extenuating circumstances?
It provides for crash history as part of the analysis, yes. And if there is a situation that a signal will correct a constant and pervasive crash problem, that can be taken into consideration. But the other side of that is the signal will be the solution of last resort. So in a situation where number warrants aren't met, but there's a crash history, they'll be looking at other options as well. Signage, enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not clear cut. I'm not a traffic engineer,
right,
so
right.
it's.
Well, and keep in mind that these are not township regulations. These are state regulations that we are dealing with. So, but yes, we can have a discussion with our senator and representative about it. I'm not sure that lobbying by elected officials is going to change PennDOT regulations, but perhaps if at least the numbers are close, if we only miss it by a little bit, the crash history might allow us to push it over the edge and get it done. But let's get the new numbers first.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're saying that was August of 2016, so your first houses were occupied in April of 2016. So from April to August, you didn't have that many houses out there. And how many houses are people living in now out there?
Probably about 80,
Okay.
approximately.
Okay, all right, so I'm just thinking the traffic from April 2016, or from April 2016 till you did that, there was nothing. And now, almost 2 years later, there's a lot of traffic coming through there.
There
Yeah.
sure is.
And I'm just worried because the pub's coming in, because it's gonna bring a lot of traffic, so.
Okay.
Okay, but if you can get those numbers so we can compare them and, we definitely need to get this moving.
Okay.
We don't want to have anybody killed out there.
No.
Seriously. I mean, it's bad. It's a sight distance thing. So,
Any other
okay.
members of the public wish to address the board on this issue? Please come to the podium and give us your name and address, sir.
Gary Bupp, 1104 Hannock Circle in Shade Brook. I guess when the traffic study's done, there's a lot of things not clear, I guess, about this whole thing to all the community members. And when PennDOT does a traffic study, are they counting only Locust Lane, or are they also counting cross-traffic? You know,
It would be all four legs of the intersection.
Okay, I mean, since Locust Lane is their road, but Fairmont is township road.
It's all
how-
four lanes.
Okay.
Fairmont and Lucas.
Okay, good. And the second thing, I guess, would be, I guess the word proactive isn't in PennDOT's vocabulary. I mean, looking at this whole situation, where we're at right now, phase one is basically complete. Phase two is, what, third? Two-thirds?
Probably
Okay, two-thirds. We got phase three, we got phase four, we got the pub, a couple other commercial buildings are going to be going in there. Just seems to me that this is going to happen. Why not make it happen now? It just makes sense.
That was my question. That was my question as to whether legally the developer can do it
Right.
early, and it sounded like PennDOT wouldn't let it early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand PennDOT's reluctance on that part. I guess I don't understand PennDOT, period.
But
So,
Mr. Bupp, as long as there hasn't been a traffic study done in 2 years, they don't know what's happening out there.
Right.
So 2 years is a lot of traffic. Yeah. So I think as soon as they're contacted, I think the better it's going to be.
I think also the fact that the Lower Paxton Police are actually controlling traffic there during school times just says there's a lot of traffic here that has to be controlled. And buses apparently can't make it across to depart when they have to, so, you know, just additional thing.
Was this the first year, Mr. Wolf, we had a police officer out there, or has it been
I
a couple of
believe
years?
we've had, we've helped or leave school ever since we've had a school resource officer at the school.
Oh, okay,
Exactly.
so that's been a while, that's been
It's
a
always
long
been
time.
for school protection for students and busing. It's always been there.
Get 'em out.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to address the board on this issue? Please give us your name and address.
Pat Reardon, 1111 Hancock Circle in Union Station. Would it be possible in the interim to put a four-way stop? Or is it the whole same series that you have to worry about until the light's there? And the police officer that's there is at the school and not the
The answer
intersection?
is, again, to do a four-way stop, you have to do the same traffic study that you do for a traffic signal. You have to have warrants. Four-way stops can be used instead of signalization. I don't expect that PennDOT will allow traffic to be stopped on Locust Lane with a stop sign.
I wouldn't either.
Okay. And is there anything been talked about or planned for the opposite end of Fairmont Drive over at Union Deposit Road? I just wonder if that's anywhere in anybody's plans. No, okay.
Good question.
Didn't
No,
hear
No.
anything.
The Shade Brook plan did not address that intersection.
And if we know when the study is, I'm sure all the residents here will be glad to get in their car and just drive in circles.
Well, we can't tell you to do that, but if you find a lot of reasons to drive through the intersection multiple times a day, that's your business. Maybe we'll post the dates of that study on our website.
Another thought came to my mind in terms of the timing of this. We're already anticipating the reconstruction of the intersection at Nye Road in Devonshire. When that happens and PennDOT puts in a detour, where are they going to send those cars?
Yeah.
For somebody going up towards Route 22, there's not a whole lot of options. They're going to come up they're going to come up Locust Lane and turn right on Fairmont. That's all the more traffic that intersection is going to encounter. So all the more reason to get some traffic control there now before they create a bigger problem in our township.
Hopefully, Mr. Murphy, the light at Fairmont will be there. In September, they were supposed to start the project at Devonshire Heights and Nyes. That has been put on hold for a year.
Yeah.
So that'll help if we can get that light in as soon as possible then, because that's on hold for
I was
a
aware
year.
of that, and that's the reason we need to move along, get the
Right.
light in there before the detour happens.
Well, actually, if the state didn't do things backward, the light would have been put in before the development started, so there wasn't a problem to begin with. So I don't know why their regulations don't allow us to improve the infrastructure first and then do the development, but
Good point. Thank you.
yes.
I'm sure PennDOT's phone number's on the website.
Yes, sir.
Although I guess maybe they would say that there's probably a lot of developments that are planned, and if they rush to put in traffic lights, and half of those developments either don't happen or they don't happen for another 20 years, and you've got a light there that we all paid for, and
Well, but
Not
in this,
being
in
used.
this case, the developer's paying for it, so if
Well,
the
we
developer
know that,
put it in
but
and
I'm
he
just
didn't
saying,
develop.
I don't want to sit here,
Yeah.
bash the folks that aren't in the room too much.
Just
I will.
for little educational purposes and to jump on to Mr. Judd's comments, the developer will pay for the signal. We pay for the maintenance and operation of that signal after
Once
it's
it's
installed. And our annual costs for approximately 40 traffic signals in Lower Paxton Township for maintenance and energy is well over $150,000 a year.
Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Bird. I live at 6014 Union Tunnel Drive, which is in Phase 1 of the Youngst Homes. And, I, like the others, I would urge you to see if we can't get this project expedited. It's already quite a dangerous situation there when the high school lets out. I mean, it's really difficult to cross driving Fairmont, north and south. And it only gets worse. We have a lot of people who come off Nyes Road and go up Locust Lane, probably 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit most of the time. So it's really difficult. If you're sitting there by yourself trying to look both left and right and figure out whether you can cross or not, when you got 3 possibilities coming at you, it's very difficult and very dangerous. So it should be rectified as soon as possible. Thank you.
Very good.
And George, can I ask, how often do we do like special speed enforcement and put the electronic sign up there and?
Regularly, and I can tell you that the sign is scheduled now at least 3 months out.
Because I know speed,
locations.
I take this every day, but I don't use Fairmont too much, but Locust Lane and Fairmont I use. And it is fast, and a lot of the problem, until the light gets in there, the safety issues could be improved if people weren't going so fast.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Kent Wyatt, 6030 Station Circle Road. I'm one of the nefarious Phase 2 people. We moved there in March, and we were witness to one of those accidents you're talking about 5 weeks ago. We were just sitting there, and a lady pulled out and just T-boned another lady. Didn't even see her coming. The sight lines are awful. My question is this. When I leave here tonight, I'd like to know, as a resident, when the study is going to occur. My question to that is, who pays for the study?
Youngst.
He does.
Youngst.
Is there any reason that that study would not occur tomorrow?
As they had said, there's no problem to do that, but the council will be higher if we wait till.
Right.
But we don't know
Yeah,
what
if
the
we wait
counts
till
are.
We
September.
want those numbers. We want the school numbers.
Yeah, once school is back in session, the number of trips through that intersection goes up dramatically.
I would
So
suggest
if we
that
did
when
the
we get
stud-
those numbers, if they're within 90-some% of the warrants back then, we do the study now. Because every day we don't do it is a day someone's closer to getting killed at that
We don't know how
intersection.
close we are.
Well, he's,
That's right,
Mr.
that's what I'm saying.
Savanas
Need to
is-
know how
yeah,
close we
need-
are.
Yeah,
Right.
Once we know how close we are,
yeah.
if we're within a certain percentage, and you folks decide what that number is, if we're close enough, and those numbers were as of when?
Well, they're from 2 years ago, so
2 years
they're
ago?
going to be,
If we're close, let's not wait.
yeah.
Well, let's see how close we are. Yeah, we want to do the study as soon as possible that it's going to show that we meet the warrant.
Right.
So if doing it next week would do that, that would be great. If waiting 4 weeks or 5 weeks until school starts gets us there, the key is that we get there as quickly as we can. But
Completely
if we
agree.
do the study now and it doesn't show it, then they're going to want to wait until the next phase, and we're off for any number of more months, and we don't want that to occur.
Completely agree, but I suggest that looking at the numbers from 2 years ago would be the factor that makes the determination as to when we push that.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have that information at the
Real
moment.
soon, right?
That's correct.
We will soon. Once we have that, you're correct. That's going to tell us a lot. Please, what's that? How long does it take for the study to occur?
About 1 week.
One
That's
one
what you
week.
said, yeah.
So we'll have numbers pretty quickly.
Then what they do is they take the data, import it into their computers, and they usually have
Right.
a report about 2 weeks later.
So we would
Okay.
know by the end of September, maybe the third week in September. Okay.
At the latest.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Colleen Sprout. I live at 6025 Union Tunnel Circle, and I am employed by Dauphin County Tech. Tech has had 5 accidents this year
In front of the school?
from school, and we do have a police officer.
Ma'am, would you pull the microphone down a little closer to you so
But
we
I'm
can
short
hear you?
enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's-
We do have a police officer. It's Officer G. He is out in the morning and he's out in the afternoon. I believe he leaves the afternoon at 3:10, and in the morning he's there from, I would say, 7:35 to 8:05. School opens on August 27th.
Okay,
So get it done before then, right after the first week of school.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on the issue? Okay. We'll look forward to getting the numbers from the last traffic study so that we can make that information public at our meeting next week.
Okay, that's no problem.
And we'll see how close we are. And we'll move forward as expeditiously. Let me say, we greatly appreciate your cooperation. I'm sure that as a developer, it's helpful to you in selling phases 3, 4, and 5, that the traffic situation get resolved for people who are going to be residents of the community. So
That's
we want to
correct.
get it done as quickly as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to
Thank
thank
you.
the residents for coming out tonight and for the ones that did speak, so thank you for attending.
And we'll make a point, George, of having Leanne make sure that she posts information regularly on the website as the process moves forward,
Will do.
so that people can, and we'll bring it up under board comment so we keep you posted.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no additional public comment on that issue, we now have a request from Shealy Homes to discuss Tuscan Villas and staff's proposed drawing a letter of credit to complete a wearing course on the street. Mr. Wolf.
Board members, the staff has provided notice to Shealy Homes that it intends to act upon its letter of credit to apply the wearing course to streets in Tuscan Villas. Shealy Homes, as by the correspondence in your packet, indicated that they would like to talk to you this evening about staff's intent to act upon their letter of credit, and I'm assuming they're asking for an extension of time to complete improvements.
Okay, who is here to address the board? Could you please come to the podium, give us your name and address?
Hi, my name's Mark Shealy. I'm president of Shealy Homes. My address is 5405 Joshua Road, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And yes, we're asking for an extension of time. I'd like till September 30th next year to put the wearing course, install the wearing course. We have 12 lots left in that development to build on, and it just makes sense not to install the wearing course now and damage the roads, and that would just give us the time we need to get a lot more of the lots built on. And I know the owners in the development, the homeowners in there, they're just impatient with the amount of time it's taken to get the development built out. I bought it almost 5 years ago, and it sat there for a number of years before I bought it.
Mr. Shealy, I'm looking here, you bought the 14 lots in 2013. So in 5 years, you only sold 2 homes back there. So are you saying that in 1 year, you feel that you'll be able to sell a lot more houses, even though you've only sold 2 in 5 years?
We built 3 homes in that development.
Okay, I'm just looking what is in my packet here, and it
Okay.
says 2 homes.
2
so,
of them were
okay.
on the two lots that I bought from the developer of Tuscan Villas. And then I bought one from Caracato Homes. They had a foundation in the development. I built a house on that. So I'm bringing another builder in to help get the community built out. And he's gonna get 2 homes started this year, and hopefully I will have 2 of them completed by the end of this year.
So you're saying the 2 that he's building, and then you would like to build 2, so you're talking 4
Yeah.
by the end of next year?
4, but close to the end of this year or early next year. By
Okay.
the end of the year, hopefully both of us will have 2 each, so another 4 by the end of next year.
So you're saying after those 4 are built, then that's when you would finish the road?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And another question I have, we have some pictures here that were sent to us. There's lots of equipment on the road, in the cul-de-sac here. Does that stuff stay there all the time?
There is equipment down there, down the cul-de-sac. There's not any houses in that cul-de-sac.
Okay. But the
So
people
I-
have to
I-
look at it that are living back there, right?
There's a trailer, a dump truck, and I think.
Okay, like there's a digger here and plows and,
Yeah, there is a plow down there, yes.
okay.
And all that equipment is being utilized to construct the homes that
Yeah.
are currently being built?
Yes.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, you said that you sold 3 homes that have been built, but you're gonna build 4 by the end of the year. So have you started those houses yet?
My company will be building starting 2 homes this year.
Okay, are they already started?
They are not. We just sold 1 lot, and I'll be building a spec house, so there'll be 2.
Okay, so the equipment's hanging out, but nothing's being built?
The equipment's there where we'll be building, yes.
Okay. And do you know how long the equipment's been sitting there?
That's the only place we're building right now, so yes, it's been there.
Okay, so you just moved the equipment there, it hasn't been sitting there for a long time?
No, it's been there, we've been building in the community for 4 years, so it's,
There's the whole way back.
it's been on and off there for 4 years.
Okay,
We park it down the cul-de-sac, so it's not on the roads where the residents live.
okay.
What's that?
As soon as we do have a piece of equipment or a truck parked in the development for more than a day, usually one of the homeowners call the township and complain.
Okay.
I'd
Do we
like
have
to.
additional questions?
Yeah, may I just
No.
review the math for myself? There are how many lots currently vacant that need to be built on?
I own 12 of them,
You own
and
12 lots, okay?
2 other lots are owned by other homeowners.
Okay, but you only control 12 lots. And that's the only thing that's under discussion with regard to the letter of credit would be applicable only to the 12 lots, correct?
Yes.
Okay, of the 12 lots, and your equipment has been sitting there for 4 years. And so 4 years, equipment's been sitting. The picture we have is that at least on one piece of equipment, there are weeds that are growing on it. So obviously no action is taking place, at least with that piece of equipment.
There's some dirt that got jammed into the grill. So there's dirt jammed in there. I didn't clean it out.
Well, we have a picture showing weeds growing out of the machinery. You're welcome to look at it.
Yeah, if I could.
So anyway, equipment's been sitting for 4 years. There are 12 lots that you control. You're saying that by December of 2018, you will have sold and built 4 houses,
Yes.
and that you're saying that you will build 4 houses by December of 2019. So that accounts for 8 lots, and that would mean you have 4 lots remaining as we would go into 3 years from now. My question is, what happens if that doesn't happen? Because you're asking now for pulling the letter of credit to complete the work. If I were to vote yes for this, I have no assurance, A, that 8 houses are going to be built, and there are still 4 lots remaining. And everything's been sitting for 4 years. So I have a little problem with that. When at least if my math is wrong, someone needs to tell me that.
If the lots don't sell as expected by next year, I will have to end up selling the lots.
I mean, I understand it's an economic issue that you're dealing with. And obviously you've been sitting in your 4 years already in the waiting.
George, what exactly is staff proposing that we do?
Draw upon the letter of credit, which means that the township then becomes responsible for completing the public improvements. The township would use the letter of credit to do the roadway paving and any other associated improvements. And the developer would then forfeit the bond.
Right.
Okay, so the letter of credit, drawing upon the letter of credit means that we would do the work and essentially charge him for it.
It's actually, we charge him for it first and then do the work.
Do the work,
We get the
okay.
money first.
And then we do the work.
When we act upon a letter of credit, we take full responsibility for the improvements covered by that letter of credit. We use the money from that letter of credit. If it costs more, we're responsible.
That was my question. Is there enough money there?
That's not a question you can ask, though. I mean, the question is, if you draw upon it, you're responsible.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So there might not be enough
If you
money.
don't use all the money, the portion that you don't use goes back.
But if there's not enough money, then
We're
we're
responsible.
responsible.
And also in making the improvements with the money, then we assume responsibility then for the streets and roads, and also then include the plowing and all of
If-
those sort of things?
If these streets were proposed to be public, off the top of my head, I don't recall. If they're laid out to be private streets, then the answer would be no.
No, right.
If they're laid out to be public streets, the answer would be yes.
Yeah, and my concern is if we get to the question, the answer is yes, then he goes in and starts building, and then we've got construction vehicles on the streets that we've improved, et cetera, and they're damaged, then they become our responsibility for continued repair.
Yes, that is true, and that's typically why we don't act upon or require final wearing surface until at least 70% of the homes are built.
Right.
So you have to judge that requirement against the fact that you have a development that hasn't moved very fast and people have lived there a long time without the streets being finished.
And 12 lots unfinished at this point. Now,
Correct.
granted, he said 4 in 18 and 4 in 19.
How long have people been living in this development without the street being finished?
Since I think late 2016.
That's okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. No.
13 years? Not 2013, but 13 years.
So 2005?
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty
Yeah,
hearing.
please come to the
I don't want to miss your comments,
Yeah.
but I'm having difficulty hearing.
The declaration was recorded in the Dauphin County Recorder of Deeds in November of 2005.
And when was the first house moved into?
Who was first? Was that 2006? We have come to the conclusion that some of our residents will not live to see it finished or our streets paved. And indeed, some have actually passed without seeing that what we were marketed and sold and what we bought into has not happened.
Right. And in 2006, Mr. Shealy, you were not involved at that point, or were you?
No.
Okay, when did you come on the scene?
December 2013.
December of 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then are you, who provided the letter of credit if you didn't come until,
Riverview Bank.
so you're not the holder of the letter of credit?
No.
Well,
Right.
then,
How do you go from there?
The letter of credit provides Lower Paxton Township the opportunity to claim the funds.
Right, and the funds
who
are there.
placed
in
the funds
escrow.
there?
It would either be one of the developers in the process. I don't know their private relationships and how they,
Yeah.
with the sale transpired from, between Mr. Shealy and Molinary and Greenberg.
I guess what I'm getting at is that if we draw upon a letter of credit, who gets dinged?
I'm assuming that it's Mr. Shealy.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
I'll pay interest on the money.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be paying interest on the money to do these, to pay for the wearing course.
Mr. Wolf, what was staff's recommendation here?
Well, it's a staff's recommendation that the roads need to be paved. It's been long enough.
Right.
Well, that's staff's recommendation, and the staff's recommendation is that we pave the roads. Your recommendation is we wait another year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the roads are gonna get damaged with, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. With all the construction, it's,
But even a year from now, aren't you still going to have, trying to remember the math, about a half a dozen lots still left that are
Right.
going to?
As I understand that he owns 12 lots, he's responsible for 12 lots. And he is saying that by December of 2018, they will build 4 houses. By December of 2019, they will build 4 more houses. So that would be 8 lots completed and 4 lots still remaining. Now, that's all in theory, and we all understand that.
Right.
But that's his proposal, as I understand it. Am I correct?
yes.
Okay.
So then you're still going to have 4 lots that are to be built at some point in the future. So even if we wait till September to put the road in, then those 4 lots are going to be built and you're going to be back with the same issue.
Possibly. It's possible all of them will be completed by the end of next year.
I think the question I have is, you've only sold 2 lots in 5 years. Why all of a sudden are you saying you're going to be able to build all these houses?
We're bringing another builder in
Okay.
to help.
So the builder will build them, but I'm trying to figure out why you haven't been able to sell them and this builder's going to be able to sell the lots.
I have one custom, and he has one custom already. So he's gonna build a spec, and I'm gonna build a spec.
And then you're going to sell that and then hopefully sell that and then build another one.
Yes.
Okay.
The letter, I guess, from your attorney, Mr. Rieger, says the project has been turned over to a different marketing firm.
From a marketing point of view, though, wouldn't it be easier to sell houses in the development if the roads were actually finished and people coming in looking at the lot saw nice finished roads? Wouldn't that market?
It would look nice.
I mean, if I were considering buying a property and I came in and the road was all blacktopped and it looked finished, I'd be more inclined than if it was, just the sub.
And if I was moving into a development, I would look for some homeowners outside and say, hey, how long has it been since your roads haven't been paved? And I'm sure they would tell me, and then I'd have to stop and think, wow, do I really want to move in here? They haven't had the special, the last coating put on it, so.
George, do we need to take action, or can staff just proceed?
I believe staff can just proceed, but I'm going to confirm that with Mr. Stein.
Yes, they can just proceed.
Is there any way that we can get the roads, take care of doing the roads?
That you do the paving?
Yes.
You have the ability to pave the roads at any time.
I mean, can you allow us 90 days?
This is August, September, October. Now you're getting us a little close here to end up paving, and we got a paving contractor that's is still here. I mean, our contracts with Pensy Supply board members, Pensy's just finishing up. You won't have a contractor mobilized in 90 days.
Well, no, I'm thinking he wants to have them paid, am I right?
Well, but my point is, in 90 days, you won't have a contractor, and you'll be 15 days out or 30 days out at most from the end of paving.
Right.
So if he
You won't be able to do it
doesn't
this
do
year.
it, we wouldn't be able to complete it
Correct.
this year.
Right.
So 90 days would be too long.
Okay.
Okay. What's the longest?
We need to know, I guess, that if you're not able to do it, that we still have time left in the season to do it ourselves.
But he's asking if he can do it himself.
Right.
How long will you give him to pave the
To
road?
do it, right. Isn't that what you're asking? You're asking us how much time that we would allow you
Right.
to go ahead and do it if we authorize you to do it?
Yes.
Your
that's-
preference would be to do the work yourself rather than have us draw on the letter of credit.
Yes.
Right.
If we gave him 45 days to get it done, George, and then if it's not done, would we still be able to mobilize our contractor to do it?
The problem you'll have is that contract will then be closed.
Yeah.
It's going to be what?
It could then be closed. We're going to have to do this as a change order. The contractor isn't going to wait another 40. We'll ask, but I don't think Pensy will wait another 45 days to close this out. They have to carry their performance bond and other stuff which means then we would have to rebid.
Oh.
And I'm not sure we could get specs together, get it out
That amount of time.
in time to.
It's a time issue. Again, I can't hear.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sure, yes. Okay,
Okay, it just-
absolutely.
I can't
Please,
make good decisions unless I can hear. I'm sorry.
yeah, come to the podium and just give us your name and address and speak clearly into the microphone.
I didn't expect to come up here, but my name is Cheryl Weeder, and I live at 2384 Via Ferenz, which is actually the corner lot that sits by itself with nothing but weeds behind me and dead trees. Where would probably be the last area that would get built. I don't know where he's planning on the 4 houses and then another 4 houses, but I only moved in December of 2016 and thought maybe the roads were going to come in soon, and there were 2 houses built and they didn't sell, and I started asking around with the neighbors what's going on, and they told me how long it's been since anything's been sold. And I think 2 houses sold, and then one of them's up for sale again within 2 months after the people bought it. And I'm not quite sure why, but I know from living in the neighborhood that, I mean, unfortunately, Mr. Shealy has a lot to do, but I have grass that's this high and has gotten cut twice last year and did get cut, and he did cut down dead trees. But my house looks back on all this grass of unbuilt homes, and then I come down a street that I do have a car that sits pretty low to the ground, so it's kind of difficult to get up my driveway. When we have snow, which I know the township plows a little bit more and has bigger trucks and better facilities, better equipment, Mr. Shealy tries, however, getting our streets even plowed that you can get down them. And in fact, the year before I moved in, I don't believe the streets were plowed at all. And I know this year that with the snow and whatever, like I said, the equipment he has, he tried his best with it, but it's not the type of equipment that you would need to plow, and I'm not quite sure where he's going to get the type of equipment needed to put down the surface on the road, the proper surface, still build homes and do whatever. And as a resident there, I would like to see houses built too, but I'm not sure that they'll ever get built there. And I would like to know where the 4 homes are that are going to be built and who the other builder is coming in, because I know that there's discussions. We were trying to find out how much he was asking for the lots because we knew builders that would be interested in coming in, and the lots are, for him to get back what he needs to get back, are too expensive for good builders to come in and get stuff done and move along and get the houses built like they were intended to be built. It's a beautiful little village to live in, but if I have guests, they want to know why. They've asked me, what's wrong with your roads? You come in from Continental and you drop down an area, and then I live on, like I said, the Peak, so I'm on both roads, Via Firenze and Via Toscana come in towards me, and I was pretty excited when I heard that you were going to be doing the roads and doing whatever, and I guess I get a little leery about whether or not, what kind of equipment or capability you have, Mr. Shealy, of being able to do the roads.
And I think that's what we're trying to work out a date here to where if it looks like Mr. Shealy can't do it, we still have time in the season to do it. I think we're trying to find a...
Do you have certain specifications for your roads that he would have to follow? Yeah. And certain timeframes and whatever?
But that's,
and
again,
inspectors
that's
to
your
do
builder.
that? Because I don't know, but I wouldn't want to lose
Yes.
your contract this year to get it done, because I wouldn't want to live another season, especially with snow, where I can't depend on the township coming through and doing my roads.
Do you have road paving equipment?
I only have some equipment, yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Do you have equipment capable of paving residential streets?
Not paving, no.
Then how would you propose to get it done?
Would use a subcontractor for that.
Yeah.
Whether you use a subcontractor or we do, it's still,
There isn't the prevailing wage issue.
okay. Yeah.
The competitive bid issue, the bonding issue that we would have.
So it would cost less if he did it.
Theoretically, yes.
We need to make sure it's done right.
Would you?
Oh, it would still have to be inspected.
Right. And currently, we can't do it because the roads aren't ours.
Well, if we act,
We accept it,
Yes,
what I'm saying, but
correct.
right now, they're not our roads, so we have no control over those roads.
But in the deed, did it say they were going to be turned over to us eventually or not?
So they have to be built to our specifications for that to occur.
Okay.
correct.
Right.
So they are going to be turned over to us eventually. Okay. So if we pave them, then we'll automatically take them over?
Yes, you have to. once
Well,
you do
so
that.
then if there's any damage to them, then we're going to have to fix it.
Yes.
So
Well, Mr. Shealy, when do you think you can realistically get it done? Like, because we're just nervous, like, when you tell us when's the soonest you can get it done.
I would like to end of next year is what I'd like.
now that,
Okay,
No, I meant this year. I meant this year.
all right,
Because you had said 90 days.
Yeah.
You just said you could pave
Yeah.
in 90 days.
But
So we're
that's too
talking
long
July.
for us.
well, but yeah, then if you can't get it done in 90 days, we don't have the ability to do it this year.
Right.
So,
And we usually don't pave after October, beginning of November, depending on the weather.
It's,
The
I think
temp.
it can go, depending upon weather, you can go
55.
wearing, you can might be able to go to November 15th.
Okay.
and so if we did it, this would simply be a change order to our existing contract.
Correct, as long as we have the contract open, but we won't have the contract open in 90 days.
How long would you
It
expect?
would be a
we-
favor to keep it open 30 days at this point.
Okay.
What assurances can you give us that you can have this completed in 90 days? I mean, we're struggling here. If you can get this done, let's get it done.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the line of credit was an assurance.
sir, did you have comments you wanted to make? Okay. Why don't we let residents complete their comments, and then we can decide what direction we want to go here.
Thank you. My name is Seymour Bargett. I live at 2374 Via Toscana. I've been living there 10 years. And in the 10 years, there's only been 2 homes that have been sold, of which happened in the last 5 years that Mr. Shealy has built. This is a very, very unfortunate situation. We as homeowners have put up with a lot of promises from Mr. Shealy that certain things are going to get done, and personally, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of the other homeowners here, that I don't have any confidence in Mr. Shealy being able to complete the road. He doesn't have the equipment, and you know, it's been, as I say, it's been 10 years since we moved in. The development has, I think, depreciated in value simply because there has been no developments. The 2 homes that he built have stayed vacant almost the entire 5 years. They have just recently been sold. And to expect that Mr. Shealy has the ability to build 2 more homes and then expect another builder to come in and build another 2 homes in the next 18 months or 2 years, I just don't have that confidence, quite honestly. You know, I don't think it's going to happen. I can appreciate Mr. Shealy's position that, you know, obviously if he was able to sell more homes, you know, we wouldn't be in this situation. The reality is that those homes have sat vacant for almost 5 years. And, you know, we pay taxes. We've had no, you know, snow removal other than the snow removal that Mr. Shealy has provided, which, you know, sometimes has, you know, has not been very adequate. And, you know, we're really, you know, pleading with you as Lower Paxton to, you know, to get this development completed by at least putting the roads in so that other people can come by and say, gee, what a nice development, and the finished core of the roads will make a big difference. It's, you know, it's really a very unfortunate situation. You know, there are lovely homes, you know, we pay a lot of taxes, and we're just, you know, we're hoping that you know, look towards the homeowners of that development to, you know, to satisfy our situation and you know, have the roads completed. I do not, and I have great respect for Mr. Shealy, but I do not believe that he has the ability to, you know, to move forward on this. He has made many promises, and those promises haven't been forthcoming. And for him to say, I'm going to sell 2 more homes, and then have the ability of having another builder who we don't know, we don't have a commitment from any other builder other than his word that these homes are going to be built, and even if they're built, are they going to be sold? You know, he built these 2 houses. He didn't finish those homes. They were left partially uncompleted because nobody was buying them. And, you know, and that's no way to develop a township area that should be certainly, you know, a pride and joy. As far as marketing is concerned, I don't know of any marketing that he has done in terms of selling those lots. I haven't seen any advertising. have not, heard that anybody is coming in and saying, gee, let's buy these lots because they're being marketed. They haven't been marketed. He owns 12 lots, and I don't think he's done any marketing whatsoever. And for him to come here and say that I'm going to sell 2 more houses, and with the understanding that maybe somebody else is going to sell 2 houses, I just don't believe it. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
That's my
Well,
position. And I
thank
think I
you.
speak for, many of the other homeowners here.
Well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate that.
I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
We're happy to.
Thank you.
We'll hear from the next gentleman.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Richard Wayne. I'm at 2397 Via Toscana, and we've lived in the community now for 9.5 years. I second what Cy is saying. I'm concerned about Mr. Shealy's ability to pave the roads, having a contractor to meet the township specifications. I'm very wary of that. As far as what Cy was saying about homes, he has in the time period of almost 5 years sold 3 homes. The 2 latest homes sat on the market for 3 years. And the thing that's going on right now is if he plans to build another spec home, he is fighting competition of existing homes. There are 2 homes presently as resales on the market, so he's fighting that competition right now. In our homeowners meeting, which Mr. Shealy attended back in late May, he informed us that he did not have financing to be able to build a spec home. So this is a big surprise tonight that I'm hearing all of a sudden there's going to be 2 homes built and another builder coming in to build 2 other homes. It's very surprising to me. This is the first I've heard this. But getting back to the roads, we really want to get the roads finished. We want the township to be able to be responsible for them, and so that we can enjoy the neighborhood. The thing we would love to have is the neighborhood finished. We've wanted that ever since 2005. We came up here to be in this neighborhood because we loved it so much. And we all, the residents, the values of our home have decreased because of the climate and the unfinished nature of the neighborhood. We love our home. We don't want to move. But some people have chosen to sell and leave. Others, as my wife said, have passed away, and they never got to see their neighborhood finished. That's what we want, is a finished neighborhood. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I'm sure we all want to see the neighborhood finished, and certainly, Mr. Shealy, we wish you much success in that. Did you have a comment, sir, before we, please go to the podium.
My name is William Bauer. I live at 2390 Via Firenze in the Tuscan Village development. And I'm going to speak to you about some numbers. I don't have to tell you that you already know that the Lower Paxton Township taxes are some of the highest in the state.
No, that's not true.
Absolutely.
We're actually among the lowest.
Among the lowest. Well,
Lower Paxton Township is among the lowest.
Okay. Dauphin County.
Dauphin County is not high either. There hasn't been a county tax increase in 13 years.
Then let me put it this way.
School district taxes are...
Our taxes 2 years ago were almost $7,000 a year between the school taxes and real estate taxes. A year and a half ago, we all went to the assessment board and had a reassessment done, and most of us had a 30% reduction because the areas around us were selling very low. Most of us have lost 30% of the investment we have in our homes. Not just because of the market, but because the facilities in our particular development, the road is in terrible shape. Not only is it needed to have that done, it's beginning to damage. It's beginning to have cracks in it, and the curbs are beginning to fall apart
because the thing is not finished. There's no rainwater protection, and there's no protection against anything else. Also, there has been a steady decline in the common areas, which we fortunately have had our homeowners take over, because the developer was not taking care of those common areas. If I had to put in new bushes, new mulching to keep that up to par, because it was looking terrible. So, absolutely, there is I guess, a struggle between what the township wants to do and can do, and what the developer is asking you to do. Maybe it's time that the both of you get together and make an arrangement so that finally you do what, for 8 or 9 or 10 years, the people that live there and pay taxes, maybe you should consider what they want to have done. And I appreciate the chance to get to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to clear something up. We're at 1.95, and if I'm right, correct me, Loman, except for Middle Paxton, we're the lowest in Dauphin County.
Yeah. Yes.
And also, I just want to give you a little calculation. On a $200,000 assessed home, the taxes for Lower Paxton are only $390. So we are the lowest in Dauphin County, and if you got that tax in the mail, that's your school district tax. We're part of the February tax, but except for Middle Paxton, who does not have any real estate taxes, we are the lowest in Dauphin County. Yeah.
Ma'am, would you like to make a comment?
Judy Faruqi, 6504 Carmen Court. I just happened to be here and heard about Tuscan Villas, and it was just like, I was curious if you were talking about the same place that I visited maybe 2006 or 7. I was just curious because it was Tuscany. And so I know the fact when those few houses were built and everything was bare, I wouldn't expect that hearing you talk now that it's still that way and you still don't have a road. So I would just want to put in my 2 cents that people who are there already 9 years or 8 years without a road, I think another year or 2 is too long to wait. And it distracts from the beauty of what you can envision it's supposed to resemble Tuscany in Italy. And I brought my husband over there, and we were snooping because the realtor who was going to meet us, but she didn't show up, and this was before Mr. Shealy had, I guess, anything to do with it. And so my husband and I were snooping around the property. It's beautiful. I mean, have you seen it? Mm-hmm. Brick, and it's so just like a villa. So we're peeking in the window, and a beautiful kitchen, marble and granite and everything. I just bring that up now because it was kind of a happy memory I had with my husband, because he had Alzheimer's, and so kind of did something like, for fun. And then the grounds, because my place doesn't look like that. The grounds, with the sloping, going back in the yard and everything with all the little, fancy little bricks. It was beautiful. So I think that a beautiful villa like that deserves to be finished with a beautiful road. And the people's driveways are like pavers and everything. And it's like, they can't have a shabby road. And also, I know they're expensive homes. Maybe that's why they're hard to sell, because they're expensive. But anyway, good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll just say that we've heard so much. I think that I would support our staff's position for the township to move ahead and finish the road and what the residents want. And Mr. Shealy, I feel for you, I really do. You're in a really, really tough business. Maybe this will help market it. But I support our staff and the citizens' wishes. It's just do what it takes, and we'll get the road done, and maybe that'll help.
Yeah, we certainly wish you much success in selling all the lots, hopefully, and finishing all the houses, which would benefit anybody. But I have to agree with Mr. Judd. I think 13 years is long enough, and if we put the road in and it gets damaged, that's on us.
And we help, we hire our staff to give us the recommendation, and that's what they're recommending. So.
Well, certainly there's been 13 years of patience, and I know you haven't been involved the whole 13 years. It's sort of an inherited problem for you, but We really, I for one think we ought to get it done. Mr. Chrisman, your thought?
I agree that we need to support our staff's decision. My only comment, and this is not the first time we've had a difficulty with a development and its developer. And I feel very sorry for your particular development in as much as some of us who have been around for a number of years worked with Mickey Molinari and Barb Greenberg when they started this development. Unfortunately, well, of course, Mickey has died, but the fact is that that development came to a standstill. It was purchased, and so when you have any type of development that is being developed, and then something happens to the developer who promises, provides a mission, provides a goal, provides a vision of what will happen, and that does not occur because there is a death or whatever, and another developer comes in. Obviously, the circumstances will change. We've had some development homeowners associations. I heard some discussion about the common areas that you're responsible for, and even when, and I don't know what stage you're in, but I'm assuming that your homeowners has taken over responsibility, and if so, you can't go back to your developer, your new developer, even an approach. That is your responsibility, and I think you know and understand that. If there are other areas of major issue, the association can, one of you said that he did sit down with you, and I think that's positive. However, if things are not accomplished by the developer, the homeowners association does have the right to pursue legal action against the developer, and that's also very costly. But by the same token, there are other options available, and I think from our discussion tonight, I think that you clearly know and understand that we as a municipality are limited with your development as we are with any other development with regard to once the developer gets to a place, he then presents it to the township for our acceptance, and then we assume those responsibilities. That has not occurred. I think you have the extenuating circumstances of this large number of years that have transpired even since Mickey and Barb began the process, changing developers where you are. As you all know, we had the economic slump as well for development and marketing and all those other variables that come into play. And so with that, I wish you well, but I just want you to know that you do have some options, and I appreciate the fact that you clearly know and understand that we are limited with regard to what we can do. I think by assuming this responsibility, this will not be the end. Not knowing, because we don't know the future of where this development will go in terms of completion, we will take on that responsibility to finish the roads. And if the houses are developed and the roads are damaged, that means we will have to assume the we, the township. It's you and everybody else in the township with our tax dollars that will have to go back and do those repairs. But at least we're attempting to work together in a positive way. So I thank you for your understanding of where we, the township, are forced to work from and what we're able to do to be of assistance. As well, I also extend my best wishes to the developer as well, because you have major challenges ahead of you as well. And he may, and I'm coming back to you, you may find yourself in the same situation you were when Mickey died and Barb had to close out that. He may very well make a decision to sell off those lots to another developer, and he will move on, and you may very well be faced with a situation that you're sitting with as of today. So I don't want you to think this is a closed issue. It may, for him, I hope it works, and I hope it brings everything to closure for you. But I want you also to be aware that it could happen again. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't mean to pontificate that long.
Okay, that's okay. But the one thing that we can do, and of course roads are a core function of township government, everybody should have a road. So, Mr. Shilley, I think we're going to move forward and finish off the road, and are certainly happy to work with you going forward. Hopefully you can get the remaining houses sold. If the road gets damaged, that'll be our problem, not yours. Okay? Thank you, sir. Okay, now item 8 on the agenda, we do have a request for support from the Dauphin County Parks and Recreation for its Growing Greener Plus grant application for Wildwood Lake restoration and design. Mr. Wolf.
Board members, you're probably all aware, Wildwood Lake is a Dauphin County facility, and it drains Paxton Creek. Paxton Creek is an impaired waterway in the Harrisburg area, subject to a TMDL for sediment, total mass daily limits for sediment. Lower Paxton Township, Susquehanna Township, and the city of Harrisburg are required to reduce sediment in Paxton Creek by 35%. And that kind of goes back to the stormwater fee that we will be implementing in 2019. But because Paxton Creek enters into Wildwood Lake, the 3 municipalities have participated with Dauphin County and representatives from DEP in regard to what can be done to restore the lake. The county is now applying for grant funds to at least start that process, and they are asking Lower Paxton Township to support their grant request. I believe it's appropriate, and I ask the board to do so.
Do we take action?
The chair would entertain a motion that we provide a letter of support to Dauphin County Parks and Recreation for its Growing Greener Plus grant application.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Let's get some money and get it cleaned up.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any comments, questions? Any comments from the public? Yeah, you're welcome. If not, motion to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And apparently there's something we ought to know.
Board members, there is something you ought to know, but it is not time sensitive, and I
Okay.
just realized that we don't have the link for you on the agenda page, so I'll include that at a later time.
That sounds good. We also have improvement guarantees, and we have, what, five or six of them?
2, 4, 5.
5. Do we have any comments or questions relative to the improvement guarantees?
They look, Mr. Chairman, they look straightforward. I'll just
They
ask
do.
Mr. Wolf, is there anything exceptional that I missed as I reviewed them?
There is not.
If not, Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the improvement guarantees with, all reductions and 2 reductions and 1 with a letter of credit. Oh, they all have letters of credit. So it's 3 reductions and 1 extension. No, they're all reductions, excuse me. Except Shadebrook Phase 2 is the reduction extension.
We've been here a
That's
long
why,
time.
yes, I've been here too long. I was trying to sort them quickly. and I
I'm not
didn't.
sure what your motion is, but is there a second?
I'll move to approve the improvement guarantees as presented.
Thank you very much.
That keeps it simple.
I just feel sorry when you try to write the minutes on that one.
As
Robin, did
presented.
you have a question or comment? Okay, you're seconding?
Yes, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the improvement guarantees. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any additional information or items to come before the board? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you.